Have some balls.
There's been too much hysteria about some of our results.
That is a chance that Petrovic can come in.
Hello and welcome back to Just Another Football Podcast. I've got to be honest, this is the second take. The first take didn't record, so we're doing it all again. We went quite far in the episode, and then just so you know, there's context there. But it was a pretty special day yesterday because there was Just Another Football Podcast derby, Chelsea, Arsenal, and it finished 2-2, and we love the 2-2 score line on here. Love it, Desmond. But I got the feeling then, seeing how the game played out, and I'm going to be honest, I missed the whole window because I had to do something for work, that both teams will have been let down by the result, because Chelsea on the one hand losing a 2-goal lead, and Arsenal on the other hand drawing a game they definitely should have won given the current circumstances of both sides. But did you see it that way? Fergal, the other side of it could have been, well, we got a point against Arsenal. We couldn't do this against Nottingham Forest earlier in the season. Which side do you see it?
I see it that it's 2 points drop. To be 2-0 up in the game, 15 minutes or so left against anybody, you'd expect Chelsea to win that. And then the manner of the goals was disappointing. It's the first time I think Sanchez has made a big mistake for us. And now there's probably question marks over does he come in? Petrovic is there. Selena's on loan.
Yeah. You read my mind. I was about to bring up the goalkeeper situation later on, but I want to listen from Harry. Well, again, because we have to do this for the second time. Harry, the other side of looking at the result is we were 2-0 down. We managed to get a point. It's better than nothing. Still up there in touch with the lead in the top of the table. Do you see it that way, or you had to win basically?
We didn't have to win. It's October. I think generally there's been too much hysteria about some of our results this season and performances as well. Don't get me wrong, we weren't good in this game. This is comfortably our worst display of the season.
Yeah.
We probably should have lost. It's the first game this season I would say that actually we probably nicked a point or nicked a result when not potentially deserving it. But it's October and we still haven't lost. No game is must win in October.
Yeah.
No game is must win this early in the season. If you start getting into that kind of attitude, then how on earth are you going to last till May? There's so much football left to be played. And equally, if you'd said to me, okay, well, you're going to draw against Man City and then beat Chelsea, you could argue we've actually done it the better way round because we've taken 3 points off City and okay, we've drawn here, but looking at Chelsea, looking at the way they played, I know you mentioned they had struggles earlier in the season, but they've obviously come into a bit of form. They've found a template that gives them more success, I think, in these sort of games. And looking at this game, looking at the game against Liverpool, I think they're going to be a hard team to go and beat at Stamford Bridge. So it's one of those, we didn't play well. You have to just take a point and move on. I honestly would have taken a point before the game. I'm not naive to the fact that any game against the top 6 side away from home or top 7, if you want to put Newcastle in, it's tough. There are going to be difficulties involved. And I think even last season, we played Chelsea away. We absolutely wiped the floor with them, really. They were dreadful. We were really good. It was still only 1-0, which tells you that these are hard games to go and actually win.
Yeah.
So I think you have to just take the point and move on. We still haven't lost yet. And I think we're trying to find the right balance between controlling games and actually offering enough threat. And I think at this moment in time, we haven't quite got that. But I think the personnel is there to change it. So not overly concerned. I think you can only start really be getting concerned if you start doing it on a consistent basis. And I actually think we've had quite hard games to this point. So
yeah,
it is what it is. Just got to keep rolling with the punches.
I want to bring it back to the goalkeeper point because we were kind of live reacting to the game as it happened, or you guys were. I wasn't really watching, but George went, "When will Chelsea find a keeper who isn't a moron?" And then he went on to say again, "It's on the keeper." That when you said it's on the keeper, Harry. George responded, "He's shite." I thought he would at least be good at commanding an area with his height, but he is shite. Georgi Petrovic is a better goalkeeper than Robert Sanchez. And I say that because Petrovic was like, if New England Revolution are a one-man team, Georgi Petrovic was the one man. Like, he was that good. He was one of the keepers that would carry a team. And then you also have Slonina coming from Chicago Fire. And I just wonder, from a selfish MLS standpoint, when will those guys get opportunities? And aren't they more deserving, at least Petrovic, than Robert Sanchez?
Yeah, they definitely have a chance of getting, if he keeps that sort of performance up. I don't think he's been too bad for Chelsea, but I think that is a chance that Petrovic could come in. Maybe it might be a cup game that he comes into, but he definitely should be given a go if this is Sanchez's level, or Sanchez has the potential to have a shocker like he did. What do you think about your goalkeeper, Harry? Because do you think
Yeah,
Great.
do you think he should have saved the Mudryk goal? It's one of those ones. Mendy had one against West Ham a while ago for Chelsea.
yeah,
It was a bit similar. Catches you off guard. It happens.
yeah.
Mudryk didn't know where it was going, so
No,
how could
not
Ryan?
buying what he's selling after the game one bit. Absolutely not
Yeah.
having it whatsoever. That he looked up and saw the keeper. It's like someone said to him after the goal, "By the way, make this point," and you might actually sell the idea that you meant
You
it.
see him look up and he doesn't. There's an angle that's like shot from behind the goal,
Behind him, yeah.
and
There's
you
an angle
don't
from
see.
behind him.
Well, the one facing him from behind the goal, and he looks up, but looks in the box. He doesn't look anywhere near the goal. So
No,
I
I
don't
like
know.
Kevin De Bruyne could have said that he meant that, and I wouldn't have believed him. Like, it just isn't
Yeah.
the percentage play to try and do that on your weak foot. Like, there's just no way. From the goalkeeper's perspective, I thought it was quite high. Like, there's stuff he did in this game that I don't like. I mean, he nearly gave you a third goal just through passing it out in completely the wrong situation.
I definitely should have
Again, like,
done better there.
should have scored. He did well to actually recover it, but
Yeah.
I thought on that one it was a little bit harsh. Like, what you see with him, he has a very high starting position on crosses. So there was one in the North London derby which is very similar, where I think it was Pedro Porro like skewed one across from the right, and he ends up again, because he's quite far out of his goal, he kind of claws it back into play, and they actually score. Kind of, it gets recycled out, they come back in and they score, which I didn't like that one. And it's because I think obviously he's on the smaller side for a keeper, and therefore to be as good as he is on crosses statistically, like he does well on crosses, and the reason is because he starts quite high. Now this one, it's a freak goal. Like, it really does drop right under the crossbar. So I think even if he's deeper, given his height, I think most keepers, like, you get caught out by that, if I'm honest. I think where I'll start to get more concerned is if teams are sort of clocking onto it, recognizing that he comes out with his goal, and actually start taking chances, because then you might have an issue. But I think that the bigger issue with him at the minute is we've played, I think, 6 or 7 games now with him in goal in the league, or it might be 6 or 7 in all comps, 5 in the league. And he's kind of been really good against the bad teams, like very comfortable against Everton, comfortable against Bournemouth, comfortable against PSV. But actually, when we've played some better teams, we played Chelsea and played Man City and played Spurs and even Lens in the Champions League, he's looked uncomfortable. So, like, at the minute, he looks like a bit of a flat track bully to me. It's sort of like when we play worse teams that actually aren't very good at pressing, he pings it round for fun. But actually, when he's getting put under the pump, he's looked a bit nervous. As good as he can be with his long distribution, and I actually think once Havertz came on, he found him a few times, as he did against Man City as well. I think he's good when you give him a focal point.
Yeah.
But the problem with keepers is the second they start making mistakes and looking a bit nervy and transmitting that nervous energy, it becomes a problem. It really does. Like, it's something you feel when you're in the ground in person. And it probably would have been similar yesterday for Sanchez, because even before he makes the mistake, there was a couple of other crosses where he was flapping about. He gave one away. Like, there was there were moments where you felt like he could make a mistake that could get us back into it. Then he does. And he is a keeper that even when you watch him at Brighton and he did some good stuff, like you always felt like he had a mistake in him. So that's something that concerns me about our keeper. And I think Chelsea will be concerned as well because he is error prone and you don't want an error prone goalkeeper.
No.
Not at all.
I do wonder, like, in this next summer, like with all the money that Chelsea spent, like, are they going to go out and get, maybe in January they're going to go out and sign somebody, or are they happy with the potential amongst the goalkeepers that they have in Selena and on loan, and then Petrovic? Be interested to see how that goes, because Sanchez definitely felt like a cheaper signing to
Stopgap.
stop gap. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't think signing another goalkeeper would be conducive.
There's only
to
one I would be
anything.
like, definitely, and that would be Mike Maignan if we got him. But
Yeah.
we'd
Mike
probably
Maignan.
need to break the transfer record for goalkeepers.
Break it in another position. Just add it to the list.
Yeah.
Let's go for it. Alisson Becker is the current record holder for most expensive keeper. Has that been broken?
No, Kepa,
I
wasn't
can't,
it?
yeah.
Oh, Kepa.
Yeah,
Oh, of course.
Kepa was more, yeah.
They're very
There you go,
close.
break their own record.
There
Yeah.
you go. I wanna touch on the general shape because during our first take, you brought up an interesting point, Harry, about the balance of midfield. It was Jorginho and Odegaard and Rice in front of him. Great goal by Rice, despite the error. And you were talking about the balance of it, and one or two moments with Jorginho that showed why it wasn't good. Why? Basically, make the point again, Harry.
Make the point again. It wasn't. It was a contribution of all four, probably. And Rice got better actually once he moved into Jorginho's position. But the midfield four, if you want to call it that, because Zinchenko ends up in midfield as well, so I include him in that.
Mm-hmm.
They were very poor on the ball. I mean, that when you pick a midfield like that, what you're asking for is to be technically secure. You don't pick a midfield like that if you want it to be a sort of transition, run round, be leggy sort of midfield. You don't pick Jorginho and Odegaard and Zinchenko to do that. So you want them to keep the ball. Now, obviously it was a very wet day. I don't think conditions helped. It looked a very kind of boggy, slow pitch, and we got caught out by that a couple of times. But like equally, it's the same for them as it is us, and they passed it better than we did when they had it.
You must remember, it was raining.
It was raining. Yeah. You pick a midfield like that to be good on the ball, and they weren't good on the ball, and they couldn't get it through. So, like, even the second goal for Chelsea, if you watch that passage of play, the half kicks off. We have the ball for about 2 minutes, and we're passing it around, shoehorning it around, side to side, and we don't really go anywhere. And then it comes to Odegaard, he gives it away, and they transition, kind of what they were waiting to do all game, kind of sitting in quite a compact shape and trying to spring on us, and that's how they, looked threatening. But that kind of categorized our problems for the game, which is that we just didn't have the punch to play through them. And I was saying before, like, I think we should have played over their midfield, because if you look at it, it's a very energetic midfield, lots of legs in it, and it's one that basically is saying to you, with the front three they picked as well, we're going to just clog it up centrally and steal the ball, and they constantly did. And I think when you pick a midfield like that and you're playing against a midfield like that, I would have had probably Havertz, and I thought Saka might be injured as well, which kind of maybe factors into this, but Havertz would have been a good option in this game to play up front, because he just gives us more of a focal point. So in the games he's played up front, and I think in the two Man City games he comes on as a sub in the last one and in the Community Shield, we were able to play over their press because he makes the ball stick, because he's quite tall, he's decent in the air, like it's sort of a couple of things he's better at. And I think even when he came on, you saw the second goal comes from it playing a little bit more directly into him, and then kind of pinching the second ball and playing from there. And I just think Jorginho, he played obviously because he was good against Man City, but different game. different requirements in that game where you're going to have about as much of the ball as Man City, if not they'll have slightly more of it. So like your distances are going to be different.
Yeah.
Chelsea obviously were trying to get us in transition, and you just get presented with this horrible situation where Jorginho is in wide open space in midfield, which you don't want to anywhere near that. I mean, they just ran the legs off him.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the right shape. I think it was quite clear quite quickly. I mean, obviously, Zinchenko comes off at half time. Jorginho comes off about 65 minutes. And I think that told you that it wasn't working. But we managed to get a result and you can kind of learn from it. But I think it's just an example of the right team for one game is not then necessarily going to be the right team for the next game. And we've been better this season at recognising the opposition we're playing against and sort of altering the team a bit. And I just think in this one, he showed a little bit too much loyalty to someone in Jorginho that had a good game in the last game, but it was an entirely different proposition in this one, and it wasn't the right selection.
Fergal, it looked like you were winning fairly comfortably, considering it's against Arsenal. As Harry said, the midfield kind of match, it sounds like Chelsea had the kind of upper hand on that one. What happened in the last 15 minutes? What went on? Why did he concede the 2 goals?
Sanchez passed it to Rice.
That's a good point.
And but that's the moment. I honestly think it just comes down to that moment because it's a momentum shift. And like Arsenal are right up for it then, and Kedia comes on and causes trouble. Then like once they've actually got the equaliser, and they nearly could have went on and won it. If there was 15 more minutes to that game, I think Arsenal get the
we
winner.
look more likely. I think we look more likely.
And it's disappointing. It's just I think I don't know, I'll just check. I'm pretty sure Reece James came on. He was on the pitch for the
It was right. It was
Arsenal
right before.
equaliser.
He was. You can see him in shot.
Yeah, and I thought it was strange that he wasn't put to right back, and Mal Gusto be the one that's further forward out of the two or in midfield.
So when Reece James came on, it was Reece James as the centre back and Mal Gusto as the wing back.
No, he was up right wing, wasn't he?
More midfield, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And it was obviously just to sort of shore up defensively. Maybe it's because Mal Gusto's played a full 90. You know, you don't want to move him in the midfield. He might not have the legs, but I thought I would have wanted Reece James in like he's played centre back before. He's like so defensively solid. I thought he would have been better there. But yeah, But just another point. What do we think of the penalty that for the Sleeve have? Well, it's definitely a penalty in this day and age, but I still don't like it.
No,
I'll say. Yeah. I will say this. What was the game that happened today? Aston Villa and West Ham. Aston Villa had a penalty, like a very simple penalty decision. Kamara is just wrestled to the ground in the box by the byline, and they take so long to give the penalty. Like there's a solid 5 seconds of the assistant looking at his assistant in fear. They don't exactly know what to do. Just give it. Don't be so afraid. Stop being so afraid of taking decisions. Have some balls. That's the problem now, is that they're all so afraid of just doing their job. Dude, like even if like the pressure of getting things wrong because the public backlash and how it's going to be, you've reached the lowest possible point with the Liverpool Tottenham game. Like you will never have it any worse. So just do your job, and like whatever happens. It can't be worse. Like the only way has to be up, right? And if they have some balls and stick to their guns, that is a given as a penalty, which it shouldn't be a penalty, because if you jump your arms up, it's that simple, really.
Yeah, I think the handball, it is a penalty given the edict they're following. The problem is what we're actually basically saying is that is a sufficiently egregious offence to give someone a free kick at the goal from 12 yards. It doesn't, for me, when you look at something like that, the ball's headed at someone's arm, as you say, they're jumping in the air, your arm's going to be in that position. I mean, anyone suggesting otherwise has never played the game. It's
they're so
and
close
as you
to
say,
that
it's half a yard.
To the header. Yeah,
it's half a yard. I saw people trying to make the argument that the header was going in. Not for me. Like, if you watch it from behind, he kind of hits his hand because he's skewed off it. But what I would say is you have in the same game a situation where a free kick comes into the box, Robert Sanchez comes out and absolutely cleans out Jesus. But my point with that is that you're basically saying that is less of an offence than a point blank header from half a yard away pinging into someone's hand. And it's almost like they've lost track. We've gone so far away from actually what the handball rule was brought in for, because it was not this. It was not this.
It is really bizarre. Like, and the Sanchez moment, I thought that was going to be given. Like if it's anywhere else on the pitch and someone done that, it's a foul. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't come flying out and just flay yourself into someone's body and knock at the ball and then for it not to be a foul. I think it was crazy.
He's a goalkeeper. He can use his hands in that situation. Like, it's not even like an outlier where
it's another one of my pet peeves that goalkeepers seem to get away with loads. I still don't fully get why.
I don't understand why. Yeah, if anything, it should be the opposite, because they're actually allowed to use their hands where no one else is. Look, I knew that was going to get given. You see one replay, it's going to get given. It's not the way that it's been refereed in this instance. It's the fact that the rule has become... It's like they're trying to manufacture penalties. I mean, that's what it feels like. They're trying to just give more penalties, because there's just no way that what's happened then it shouldn't lead to a penalty. It just doesn't feel justified. But it is what it is. You got to just accept that you're going to get some. We got one against Spurs maybe a few weeks ago. Like, that's the handball rule now. That's what it's become.
I just think they are afraid, so their decision making is broken because they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do because they're afraid of the reaction to what they decide, rather than having a personality and go, "This is my decision, and you're gonna accept it." And I think the general public, unfortunately, because of VAR, like the social media discourse has become so unaccepting of bad decisions because of VAR, because of the fact that the referees can now watch replays of the incident, in addition to 4 referees being there. So I hate the presence of VAR because of that, because there's just no way. We have had 9 Premier League game weeks so far, and we have discussed referees in 7 of them, and the 8th, we didn't have an episode, so we didn't.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I just, like, if you have a bingo card of Just Another Football Podcast in the future, just, like, whip it out. One of the boxes will have referee discourse. Just check it every time before we start. But I really hope there was one week where we don't get to talk about referees. But it's always the main talking point because of that. Because bad mistakes are worse. But anyway, there's more football that happened apart from Liverpool-Chelsea. Congrats on the 2-2, ultimately.
Liverpool-Chelsea.
So, Liverpool-Everton, sorry. Might as well be Chelsea. Both wear blue and they're both bad. But Liverpool fortunately won. I watched the first half and then I had to go to work. We won 2-0. Mohamed Salah has contributed a goal to every single Premier League game except one, the Tottenham game, where the goal was disallowed. It was his assist. But man, we're it's one of those where you just have to say we're lucky to have him, because I think the second finish, not many strikers will have done that. I think a lot of strikers will have thought that Pickford is going to go across in time. The finish, watching it, really surprised me. Because Pickford, he's so far wide. But I think the majority of the strikers, if they're right-footed, they'll try to go across the goal. If they're left-footed, they'll try to take a touch and then finish it the other side, just because they think Pickford's coming across. And I just think that type of finish into the near post is genius. I don't know if you guys saw it that way, but...
I did. I thought it was genius because I have him as captain on fantasy football. So I must admit, I was absolutely...
That too.
I was absolutely loving it. Nice 32-pointer from him this week. I mean, what more can you possibly ask for? Yeah, it's weird. Like, he did not have a good game either. Like, it's one of those you watch it. Like, for 90 minutes, it's about as poor as I've seen him play, and yet he scores the penalty, gets a goal at the end. He's left the game with 2 goals. It's just like, it's what he does, isn't it? He'll always contribute something.
That's what the best players do.
He's having a great season. He has a great season every year. I mean, it's nothing new. Hard work, I thought Liverpool made of it. Like it didn't click at all, and Everton were very resolute. I thought they actually looked at their most vulnerable, particularly before the red card. Whenever they tried to actually come forwards, and then the ball would break, and they'd look really open at the back. But kind of after they went down to 10 men, obviously they weren't going to be doing that, and they bunkered in effectively.
They bunkered
hard to break down.
You say they looked most vulnerable before the red card because I felt like their approach was more positive than it is normally, and I thought because they kind of figured out we can actually create chances, we just haven't been able to finish them, so we'll try to create chances. Like, we'll keep playing the same way. But at the start of the second half, they subbed on Nathan Patterson for Dwight McNeil and Michael Keane for Jack Harrison. They parked it. Like, they did. They parked it. And watching the highlights, were there any chances apart from another penalty shout, the actual penalty that was given? What was Michael Keane doing? Like, effectively playing goalkeeper, like leading on it with a really wide arm out like that. Can't do that. Like McTominay against Sheffield United as well. They did really hard work of feeding Sheffield United.
They did, and I needed them to get a result there as well. I needed at least a draw from United this week for my last man standing that I'm currently in. So wasn't thrilled for once to actually see them make such hard work of a crap opponent.
Was Konate supposed to get sent off? Because I heard that, and I didn't actually get, like, the highlight package from NBC didn't show it, so I didn't see it.
Yeah, he could have gone. He could have gone. I mean, it's a counter-attack, and Akanji went for quite a similar one against Brighton in the Man City Brighton game. Just kind of, not an egregious foul, but you're stopping a counter-attack, and if you get booked for stopping a counter-attack, you kind of can't complain. So he could have gone.
So Konate stopped a counter-attack and wasn't booked?
Yeah.
Intriguing.
Fortunate. He was fortunate, definitely.
Yeah. Lucky boy. All right. Well, Villa 4, West Ham United 1. That just happened this morning as we record. Well, this afternoon, UK time. 4-1
yesterday.
Well, yesterday, if you're watching or listening on the day of release, of course. Villa have won 11 games at home. Someone fact check this and go to the comments, and maybe if you've listened this far, let me know in the comments. I saw this on Twitter and I want to verify it. Did Douglas Luiz score in every home game since the king was coronated or was made king? I saw this on Twitter.
It's 6 games in a row, so trace that back to whenever that is.
It could be.
It probably. That sounds like something that could be true. They said on the commentary today he scored in 6 consecutive home games. So you'd assume that stretches back to last season, in which case that would be true.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I need to get him on fantasy. Did that completely went on the...
It takes pens. I mean, penalties prop that up a little bit. But he's having a good season. I wish we'd signed him now, because he was someone we were linked with last year, and I kind of at the time didn't want him. I was quite glad that they kept rejecting our offers on deadline day. But he's been very good for them since then.
Rather have him over Jorginho, definitely.
I was just thinking that, Fergal. I was just thinking, might have been a. You can see why they wanted him, because he he's definitely a good player. He
He's an
definitely has
all-rounder.
his qualities. Yeah.
Yeah, he can do everything.
And he's chipping in with goals. And Villa look good. I mean, that's one of your better predictions this season, actually, is Villa. I think you had them fifth, and they are fifth at the minute. And actually, to be fair to them, they've had quite a hard start to the season. Because I was looking at their upcoming games, and it kind of they've got us and Man City back to back at the start of December. But until then, it's a pretty favourable run. So, and both those games are at home as well. So, and they're very good at home, as you mentioned, 11 wins in a row. It's kind of propping up their form this season so far. So they could be in the picture, kind of going into the Christmas period for certainly European qualifications. But I don't think they'll be a mile off the top four if they do what you expect in those games. And they've been good.
I will say at this one, I think this is a good chance to say so. The Premier League camp that I was very fortunate to be part of this summer. And we kind of met with the coaches that were there with us from the Premier League clubs for like a dinner before the camp started. And I told them then that Villa are getting fourth. But then I changed my mind when Liverpool made the signings. I changed my mind when... What happened? Something happened that made me change my mind. And then I went in my preseason predictions, fifth. So...
Yeah, it's one of your better ones.
I'm sticking with fifth.
I'm not going to mention mine.
I am sticking with.
I'm not going to. There's still time. There's still time for it all to blow up.
Yeah.
I can't believe
there is
I'm
time,
being positive.
but I think the Premier League table reads: Man City 21, Arsenal 21, two goal difference there. Liverpool 20th with 9 played. Tottenham play Luton Town on Monday night. So tonight, if you're listening, they're playing. Oh yeah, Fulham. Sorry, they are playing Fulham. So
since you mentioned Luton, Ogbene scored. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Congrats. So Tottenham won that. They got a 23. And then Aston Villa are on 19 points. So Villa are 2 points off the top as of right now, as of recording. And then they
got Luton next week as well.
There we go. And there's a 3
I know that because they're going to be my next selection. So they better make it 12 wins in a row. They better make it 12.
Oh, you know they're going to lose now. There's a 3-point difference between Villa and Newcastle. And then it's kind of a group of 16, 15, 14, and then 12, 12, 11. So even reading now, if it trends that way, there's a good difference between Villa and Newcastle. And given their upcoming games, Villa are playing Luton, as you said, and then Nottingham Forest, Alkmaar, the Conference League, Fulham, and then Tottenham. So there's that 3-game stretch in the league where they have a really good chance of solidifying like their European place, as it were, before playing one of the harder games of the season, of course. But yeah, very, very good season from them so far, as I predicted. Shall we look ahead to the Champions League? It's a Champions League week this Tuesday and Wednesday. Anything in particular you're looking forward to here? There's PSG Milan. That's obviously, that's a really good one.
Newcastle Dortmund as well in that group. That group's just great games all round.
Newcastle Dortmund is happening at the same time as PSG Milan. Oh my, gonna have to.
Well, they're in the same group, so that's kind of usually what happens. There's good games all round in that one. That game's important, I will say. We've got Sevilla in Sevilla. They've just got a new manager. They drew with Real Madrid on Saturday, 1-1. I saw it was quite funny actually because Ramos was up to his kind of usual tricks, and obviously Real Madrid were on the receiving end of it for once, and it was something like, "God, this guy's a bastard, isn't it?" Yeah. He was up to his trick. I mean, I'm quite fearful of that game actually because we lost that game to Lens. The group's become very tight all of a sudden, and if we lose again, you know, it's squeaky bum time because then you've got 2 home games and you've got PSV away, which is probably the worst team in the group. But you can't really make any mistakes from that point onwards. So it's quite an important game for us to just get something. Otherwise, we could be back to the old Europa League anthem, which would be honestly, it would be a disaster. So we need to get something. I think we'll be fine. I hope we play better than we did against Chelsea, but it's a tough ground to go and actually get a result at. I mean, you saw what they did to United last year. Tough atmosphere,
They've won
new manager bounce.
Europa League as well in the past. They know what they're doing when it comes
Well,
to
hopefully
Europe.
they can return to the Europa League. They'll be desperate to get back there, so they'll roll over and give us the 3 points.
I don't want to play Sergio Ramos again. I don't want to play Sergio Ramos again. Please.
I can't say I'm particularly looking forward to it, Ali. We haven't played Sergio Ramos since 2006, and it's not been a moment too soon, if I'm honest. So it's he's 38, but you just know he'll be up to his usual bastardry back there, which I'm not particularly.
That's all he's left now. Like he won't be as quick or any of the other attributes.
No, just be there to
he'll be relying on his antics more than ever.
He'll be there to wind everyone up, and he's very good at it. So yeah, tricky game there. And I think if we win it, we'll be fine. I think we'll win the group quite easily. But if we lose it, then precarious.
I don't know about precarious, to be honest. Like,
you don't want to be on 3 points after 3 games.
But you also have you have 2 home games coming up after. So
and I think we'll win them. But it's like you're under. Yeah, we probably then have the easiest 3. You got 2 home games. You got the worst team away in the group. But even if we had to win the last group game to go through, like we lost to them last year in the Europa League. Like these. Away games in Europe are tricky. Like, they are hard. You've not been in the Champions League for 6 years. Like, it's easy to kind of forget that you don't get easy games off some of these sides. Like, they're tactically astute, and we don't have a particularly good European record. So I'm not taking anything for granted. We need to play better than we did in the last game, certainly.
Alrighty, so, looking forward to those really good Champions League week. Actually, looking at the fixtures. And we play Toulouse in the Europa League. Whoa!
I thought we usually play to win. No?
Yeah.
That's terrible. That's absolutely terrible.
All right, short kick of the week. I'm going to put forward the 2 candidates this week because our good friend, our good Leeds United supporter. Oh, what did I do there?
That was me. I was a bit late on it. Oh, wow. I just noticed there's a new soundboard on Discord.
Yeah,
I forgot all about the soundboard.
Wow. This one actually probably would have been more appropriate.
Oh dear, I love that.
I should have had that ready actually.
Crickets, next time. Get it ready for next time.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Why didn't I think of using it? Just too focused on the podcast.
I didn't know it was that.
Short kick of the week. I'm gonna put the 2 candidates forward this time because there is one obvious candidate, Gary O'Neill, getting one over his former employers. We bring it up so much how Bournemouth are...
As Fergal predicted.
Exactly. As he predicted, of course, but we bring it up all the time of how Wolves are doing better than Bournemouth, and that was like...
Yeah, are you going to mention your prediction there, Ali?
What prediction?
Bournemouth. You were pretty big on Bournemouth, weren't you?
We only mentioned the good ones. I'm gonna abstain. No, it's not looking good, is it? Yep.
I tell you, Fergal's loving this soundboard now.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna do everybody's head in with it now.
Yeah, God, what have we created here?
Absolutely. So the other candidate is Crescencio Somerville. Our good friend of the pod, Fergus Collins, FJ, otherwise known as FJC. He's been on the podcast for quite a few times. Not this season because Leeds went down, but Crescencio Somerville is 1, incredibly short. 2, scored 2 really good goals. So Leeds United won at Norwich 4-3, and that was the comeback. So it was just Crescencio Somerville scoring 2 goals. And sealing the comeback win over Norwich City. Obviously a really good team and very important 3 points. The championship actually has like Ipswich Town and Leicester City. Ipswich Town and Leicester City as the kind of the top 2. I think Leicester is first. And then there's a really big gap to the playoffs. So, but Leeds are closing in a little bit, so it was actually a massive win for them.
The bits I saw of Leeds at the start of the season, I thought they were unlucky at times, but they've got really good attacking options for the championship. Like Nanto's still there, isn't he?
Gnonto's there.
Yeah.
Well, and then there's Somerville and Perot.
Rutter as well.
Yeah.
Jorginho Rutter.
Yeah.
Jorginho Rutter, what I've been hearing, and I shout out, not the top 20, they're the ones that really keep me up with the lower divisions because I just haven't watched enough. What they're saying about Rutter is that he's incredibly fun, but just like he'll pirouette 360s, go around 2 players, and then the following chance he'll just sky it from 6 yards out with the goal empty. Like he's that sort of player. Supposed to be a striker, but he's actually just an incredibly fun ball carrier. But yeah, very fascinating player because I didn't know why they signed him for that much money when they needed goals, and he's one that scored 2 goals as a starter for the previous season. But okay, let's pick our winner then.
I'm going with my boy.
Obviously, I know
Gary
that.
O'Neill for me.
I know that. Harry?
Have I got casting vote here then? Is that?
Yeah.
Just go for whoever you.
Do you know what? If I nominate Gary O'Neill too many times for this award, and people are going to start getting the wrong idea, so I might have to go. Yeah, I think I might have to go with Somerville.
We need like a short king moment of the season or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think this deserves its own award. And we've given it so many times to Gary O'Neill, and we have had him nominated for
he
has dominated the award in particular, and been nominated for short king of the season last season. Crescencio Somerville, not so much. I just want to give him his flowers, so we'll do that. Crescencio Somerville.
Yeah.
Hope you're happy, Fergus. So yeah,
it's actually a good point. If the listeners want to suggest their short kings of the week on the weekend, do tweet us.
Yeah.
What's our app?
JAF_pod on Twitter and on Instagram, and just message us there, and submit your suggestions, or if any short king worldwide does something, let us know. We need to give short kings recognition.
Something good.
Something good, of course. Yes. Okay. Well, that ends the episode for this week. Crescencio Somerville, well done. I'm gonna play my
great name.
Great name, Crescencio. It's good. All right. Enjoy the Champions League, everybody. Fergal, go get rested. Congrats on your move.
New place. Way.
All right. I'll see you guys later. Cheers, everyone. We'll see you next week. All being well.